Hi, my name's Sam, and I'm going to do a Scotch whiskey review today. Today is the Glen Moray 15 year, a Speyside whiskey, 40%. Scotch, obviously. Glen Moray Distillery. Says on the back, sherry casks, bourbon barrels. First Speyside that I've tried, to my knowledge, to my recollection, and also the oldest whiskey that I've bought so far, 15 years. Pretty well priced here in Minnesota. In Minneapolis, this bottle was about $50, $55. So for 15 year, pretty cheap. All of the Glen Morays that I saw were pretty cheap. I have not tried I think they make a 12 and a couple other ones. I have not tried any other Glen Morays. Bought this bottle because it was on a list somewhere of good, reasonably priced whiskeys to buy. So I saw it, thought I'd pick it up. Got this about a week ago. You see, I've had a couple drinks. 40%, so a bit lower, especially for a 15 year. And nothing on here about not being chill filtered. And as you can see from the color, it's got a bit of that sort of orangish hue that I've seen other reviewers suggest is due to caramel coloration. But no, we'll see how it tastes and smells. Have had this out in the glass for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Got some water right here. So, on the nose, pretty light, fruity, citrus. Noticeably different from a lot of the other younger whiskeys that I've been trying over the last year or two, which are usually kind of brown sugar, vanilla, maybe these sort of darker sweet flavors. This is pretty light and fruity, really nice. A little nutty, maybe like pecans or something. Not overbearing, not too much alcohol, which is not surprising, being a 40%. Kind of the equivalent of the color. I mean, it's just sort of this golden, very not overpoweringly sweet. It certainly is sweet, but not too much. Not syrupy. Nice and complex. Not a huge thinker, but there's enough going on here that certainly tried a couple times and fairly rich. Some notes that I've had so far: lemon, orange zest. And these are notes that I've probably influenced by some of what I've read about Speyside whiskeys. Not that I've read a whole lot, but I've read that in general they tend to be fairly fruity. Not really that tropical fruit that like I was getting with when I reviewed the Springbank. Pretty different. And it's too bad I had soup for dinner and it was really hot and I sort of burned my tongue. So I know we taste with our noses, but hopefully it doesn't throw things off too much. On the palate, very smooth, lovely sweetness, more of that fruitiness, just a hint of what I've seen described as sort of the suntan lotion flavor. not a chemical flavor, but just sort of this rich kind of. You think of like coconut pina colada suntan lotion. I think other whiskeys have it as sort of a dominant note. That was just sort of in the background there. It doesn't necessarily need it, but I'll just put a drop of water in here. I've not yet drowned this, but being at 40%, of course, it doesn't really need that much water. One nice thing, not bitter, not astringent. Similar in that sense to the Nika coffee grain. Totally absent any, harsh flavors. A little earthy. That's unusual. That's something I haven't really gotten previously. One thing I've noticed is that if you drink this one too fast, it does sort of fade. Like the flavors are nice and nuanced, but they're not terribly strong, and they don't. It's not the sort of whiskey where like you smell it once and you get one set of tastes and smells, and then you smell it again, you get different ones. Perhaps that sort of comes from the price range or something. I don't know what that would come from, or maybe because it's chill filtered. These are all just sort of speculation, but maybe while I'm waiting, I did want to talk. Well, if you just want more tasting notes, feel free to skip ahead a couple minutes. But I'll talk about a couple things that I do when I drink whiskey. I mean, I figure you're going to spend $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100, $120 on a bottle of whiskey. You want to get as much out of it as you can. There's certainly things that can influence your enjoyment of whiskey. Some degree or the other, some degree or another. So, I'll try to. One thing I've noticed for me is that it gets really dry here in the winters in Minnesota, and if it's really dry and I'm sort of dehydrated, like my nose will get kind of stuffed up, and I can't really smell quite as well. So I try to drink a bunch of water. We have the humidifiers, what I just turned off. It's hard to tell if there's a huge difference, but I like to think there is. Trying to if I not eat really strong foods or really spicy foods, or at least if I do eat spicy foods, like the beer instead or whatever, or just like won't drink anything. One thing that I'm curious about is taking a shower beforehand, just to. I don't know. I'm not going to take a shower before I have a glass of whiskey, but if I was going to go to a tasting or something, for instance, next month, there's this event that I mentioned, Whiskey on Ice. Probably take a shower beforehand. It maybe seems kind of silly and a little pretentious, but you can get your money's worth. Nose hasn't changed too much. A little grainy. That's nice. Kind of like sort of like a fresh barley, fresh kind of grain, freshly baked bread. It sort of melds in and out with the citrus. I wouldn't say I've noticed them at the same time together. It doesn't smell like, lemon bread or anything, but it's nice and light. Probably goes without saying there's no smoke repeat in this, at least that I can detect. And it's probably a good thing. I feel like it's subtle enough and light enough that any heat will probably overpower it. It's really good. I really, really like this a lot. It's sort of refreshing. It's sort of like sort of like the orange Fanta of the Scotch world that I've found so far, anyways. I'd be curious to try some of their other expressions, the 12-year. It's funny because I hadn't really heard much about this distillery. I picked up this bottle and went to another liquor store, and there was this huge bottle. I think it was a 1.5 liter bottle of Glen Moray 12-year. It was like $40. I don't know what you'd need with that much whiskey. But I guess this is very drinkable. Almost like ketchup. Doesn't sound very good, but kind of like in the way that like, ketchup is sort of sweet. You took the sweetness of ketchup, gotten the sort of sour vinegar smell. Wow, it's great. Honey. No alcohol burn. No, it's not sort of like going up my nose and sort of hot there. I would definitely recommend this, even as a sort of a beginner whiskey. Or this would be great for someone who doesn't really, who thinks they don't like whiskey or don't like Scotch. I know I've probably said that before about a lot of things. It's certainly kind of curious to show this off to people and see what their response is. It's funny because, it's March in Minnesota. I mean, today was just this dreary, gray day. Snow coming down. Clouds. This is very springtime Scotch. It's very sunshine, sort of like sunshine in a bottle. Very light, not very light. It's light it's just got enough heft. It's a welterweight or whatever, what have you. Easy to drink, really tasty, unassuming, humble. I mean, it's not perfect. I'm glad that I still have plenty of my Springbank sitting around so that, when I want to sit down and really contemplate something, I can get into that. But, be a great gift whiskey. It's a 15-year, so it seems sort of like important and distinguished. It's like $50. It's good stuff. Glen Moray 15. Recommend it. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who didn't enjoy this. So that's my whiskey review. Glen Moray 15, Speyside whiskey, 40%. Give it a try. Really tasty. Sunshine in a bottle. There you go. Great springtime whiskey. Something you can sip while sitting in the sun. If you're into that kind of thing. Sitting on a patio, sitting in your backyard, playing cube or bags or whatever. Just sitting in the forest. All right. Thanks for watching.